I'm Fatma Hafiz from ITA, Dara Talim Agahi, Pakistan.
Hello, Fatima. Hello. Thank you for
Hello.
coming. Yeah. And what are you drinking now?
I'm drinking tea right now.
Okay. All right. So it's the black tea, the regular black tea, right?
No, the regular milk tea.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Fatima. And then Hama Mansoor, could you introduce yourself, please? Hama? All right. Hiba? Hiba? Could you introduce yourself, please?
Oh, just I got. Hello, everyone.
Mamoon. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mamoon.
Yeah, I am Mamoon Murshid from Bangladesh, and I work in the Ministry of Education. At present, I am working as the assistant professor of botany and in a government college of Bangladesh.
Yeah, thank you for
Good
coming.
to see you all.
It's a real
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you, Mamoon.
So I am with a cup of coffee.
Excellent, excellent. All right. So it's with milk or not?
Black
with
coffee. I
coffee.
always
All
prefer
right.
black coffee.
Okay,
Without
all
sugar,
right.
without milk.
Okay, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Mahmoud Okasha, please go ahead. Mahmoud Okasha, could you introduce yourself? All right. Marina Drufrote.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marina. I'm Education Policy Evaluation and Learning Lead for the KIX EMAP Hub. It's great to be with you all today. I'm drinking some water. You can
All right.
some water because it's really hot in Geneva at the moment. Now summer
really?
has finally arrived.
Okay. Thank you for joining, Marina. Marwa Omar, please. Marwa Omar, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sorry. Hello, everyone. This is Marwa Omar. Hello, Dr. Rasha. It's my pleasure to be with you today. I'm an assistant professor of economics at Helwan University. And I'm here today because my research is centered in exploring the complex intersection of disability, poverty, and economic development. And really, I'm interested to know what's going in other countries and to share other experiences to benefit from it, and try to help all those young people in within disability, and how to make the empowerment for them to be included for decent work as the Sustainable Development Goals goes. So I'm really happy to be with you today and before, not the first time. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Rasha, for giving me this opportunity to be with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dee, for coming. And it's always our pleasure, really. Musharraf Tansin.
Rasha, I can go.
Yeah.
Hello, Nasreen. Go ahead. Yes.
Hello.
Please.
Hello, everyone. This is Musharraf Tanshan. I'm working as the country director for Muslim Hands International in Bangladesh.
It's
Thank
our
you.
pleasure having you today. Thank you so much. Nasreen, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so much. So glad to see you all again. I'm Nasreen Siddiqa from Bangladesh. I'm the executive director of NGO ECS, Education and Cultural Society, and working for some research with Brookings Institution as the Brookings Scholar. And I'm drinking ginger ale now.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nasreen, for coming. Sajid Ali.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sajid. I'm a professor at Aga Khan University Institute for Educational Development. My area of work is education policy and recently working on teaching license and public-private partnership. I'm also the KIX country coordinator for Pakistan.
It's our pleasure, dear. And you're drinking coffee, right?
Well, I actually have finished.
All right, okay. All right. We would be interested to know more about teacher licensing afterwards in the roundtable discussion from Sajid Ali and the team. Sonia Ataya, please go ahead.
Hello, I'm the project manager of the EOL project. I'm working with the Tunisian Coalition for Educational. That's it. I'm from Tunisia.
You are from?
Tunisia.
Tunisia, yeah, it's our pleasure, and Tunisia is a Samena country, and we're very happy that you're here now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, thank you, dear. And Sumair Ahsan?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello everyone. My name is Sumair Ahsan. I'm working as a professor at the Institute of Education and Research, University of Dhaka. I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm also the interim national coordinator for Bangladesh for the KIX EMAP Hub. Nice to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sumaira, and it's always a pleasure. And let me give a big thank you to Sumaira for organizing the Bangladesh National Uptake Forum and Samena annual retreat in Bangladesh, and it was really amazing with the help, of course, of Nasrin Siddiqa and Ma'moon, and it was really a very rich experience in every way. Thank you very much. And we would go now to Susu El Said, please. All right, Said Ahmad, please.
Oh, hi, Rasha. So this is Said Ahmed. I'm from Bangladesh. I work at IID, Institute of Informatics and Development. Currently, I'm having my coffee in a UN mug. I am in New York now, attending the high-level political forum here. Good morning, everyone.
And I'm very grateful, Syed, that you could make it from New York. And Syed has a very weird status now because he responds in all time zones. So although being in New York, that he's functioning as a Bangladesh New York zone, time zone, and as a New York time zone as well. So we're very lucky to have you with us today. Sivitelana, could you introduce yourself, please? All right. Tanzin Zaman. Tasneem Al Humuz.
Hello, I'm Tasneem Al Humuz. I work as a capacity building and learning coordinator at the Arab Campaign for Education for All. Thank you for having me here.
Which country?
Jordan.
Jordan. Hello, and it's a pleasure having you here with us. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And Zahida Batul.
Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I'm Zahida Batul, and currently I'm working as Deputy Director of Planning and Coordination at Quaid-e-Azam Academy for Educational Development, Punjab, Pakistan. So Quaid-e-Azam Academy for Educational Development is a teachers training institute. So we have the mandate to provide professional development opportunities to the public sector school teachers in Punjab, in the province of Punjab. Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure as well, Zahida. Thank you so much. Zulfikar Ali. And Ammar Al-Qasusi. All right, so I would ask everyone who was not able to introduce him or herself in the audio is to write the introduction on the chat, so as we would get to know each other. We will start today with the presentation from Saeed Ahmed from Bangladesh about from evidence to empowerment. And I find the title is very attractive, Saeed, because empowerment is a very strong word, and having evidence from research that would lead to empowerment is really significant breakthrough, transferring accountability with equality. The floor is yours. I will stop screen sharing, and then you can share your own presentation. You would have 10 minutes for the presentation, so to give more time for questions and answers. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Rasha, and let me share my screen first. I hope you can see it. So, hi, can you hear me? So the topic that we are going to share today is how, with this equality project, IID is following the path of from evidence to empowerment. A very quick background about us. IID is a think tank. We try to establish an IID society. We call this, it's an informed, inclusive, and democratic society. That's what we call the IID society. And our path is, we have a 3I mission. So first, we inquire the evidence for public policy. We then inform the people and the policymaker with the evidence that we have collected. And then we involve the people in the policymaking process. So once you have the evidence, you inform the people and the policymaker, and then you bring them together so that they can have an informed discussion. So that's the process we do. As part of this, our GP's Education Out Loud project, we call it Equality, we strengthen the role of civil society and community-based organizations. And we do it in following the 3 priorities that EWL project have. One is the actionable evidence, the increased capacities, and having learning collaborative. We do this particularly in Bangladesh. We do this in 3 administrative levels. We do it in the village level that we call the community. Then we do it at the local level, which is the districts, and then we also do it at the national level. The reason we do it here, we always tell that making a small change at the village level sometimes is easier. It's like we compare it with like removing a pebble, right? It's a small thing. A small village, you can actually make some changes. But then again, it's just one of 68,000 villages. So it can make a significant change, but it's a small pebble. At the local level, it's like moving a rock, but you can move a bit, not far. But at the national level, we always see that it's like moving a boulder upwards. It's very difficult. You can do it. So it's like making any change there is very difficult. But we try to do it, start the approach at all 3 levels. And we are going to share how. But for this project, when we said that our first priority was that inquire, so we collect the actionable evidence in all 3 levels. And I'm going to share one particular example today. So at the community level, we do a 6-monthly survey. At the local level, we do about learning of this situation at the household survey, and at the national level we do a resilience survey, education resilience survey, particularly understanding how the households are working, how the schools are working. So this survey works both in the village level, district level, and the national level. And this follows a social accountability model. So we, in a social accountability model, you have your policymaker, you have the service provider, and you have the people. We feel that if we need to empower and engage all three partners together, and I'm going to share how we do in this particular project. We call that, we do a citizen audit. The process is, so this is one of the report from the citizen audit that we have. It's a biannual assessment that we do. Currently, we are doing it in 2 districts, in a particular 2 sets of villages. And every 6 months, when we survey, so this is one example, like, in January, when we did this 6-monthly assessment in an area, we surveyed the mothers, the fathers, the parents, essentially, the teachers, school management committee, headmasters, and community-based organizations. And of course, when you do a survey during the day, it's the mothers who stays at home, and also we also particularly focus on them because they're in engagement with the students. The process we follow is that we, through a literature review and community stakeholder assessment, we prepare a survey tool. So this is probably the standard process, and then we build the capacity of the local youth. So wherever we are doing the survey, so we work with that local youth of that area. We build the capacity of them to how to do the survey. Particularly, it's not just a survey as such, because we work with the hard to reach area, with the marginalized community. There sometimes they do not even understand that they have a right. They have a, about, for instance, school budget or the local budget. They have the right to know. So we need to do a sensitization of the parents first, that whether about their rights and what are the system is, and then we collect their opinion about whether they could be engaged in the school budget or the local budget, or any other problems they face in that locality about education system. And then we organize a community stakeholder meeting as a town hall meeting, where we invite the parents, the students, teachers, political leader, the local education officer, and they all come together, discuss the evidence that we have just collected. And because we just collected from this community, and then they come together, they also relate very well. And then in the town hall meeting, they prepare an action plan that, okay, to address these problems, we need to do these in the next 6 months. And once the action plan is shared in the town hall meeting, for the next few months, we follow through advocacy meeting with the government officials. We follow with courtyard meeting with the parents, that what needs to be done. We do door-to-door counseling as well with the parents and the teachers, that what needs to be done and how we can change the the current context. And just a couple of examples, like what exactly happens in this area. Initially, we have seen that the school always do not have organized budget meeting with the parents. But after this, we have established that that the regular meetings are conducted with the parents and the students about the school budget. And parents is to know very little about the local budget or the school budget. Now they know more. In our survey, it shows there were very few public information was available earlier about the the budget. Now school have established installed a notice board where they display the budget and what they're going to do and what money they have. And they have also installed opinion boxes in those schools that where the parents, not only during the meeting, parents can in other times can also put their comments about what they want from the school. And during this process, what we also do is that we again, it happens in the village level, and then we bring those our local partners at the national level when we do consultations with members of parliaments. And this is one of such example, like in the members of parliaments are engaging with our local partners where they share some of the problems that they faced, if there is anything that needs to be addressed. I'm going to skip this video from a parliamentary standing committee of the education, who are just sharing that how these evidence help them. We also run capacity building workshops and learning sharing workshops with the local partners, local NGOs, about the experience that we have get and how this can be transferred in other areas. And lastly, the evidence that we get and the way that we do, we also train the youth from other parts of the country we call policy camps, so that these youth can take these lessons and also run similar campaigns in the other part of the country as well. I am looking at the clock, and I think I just finished my 10 minutes. Rasha.
You have a couple of minutes left, luckily.
Okay, so thank you. I will very quickly, share two distinct part of it. One is in our realization that when we try to do social accountability, one key element is the evidence. So if you have the information, if you have the evidence, that helps that, and the evidence is both ways. One, whether the government is doing something right or not, whether the parents what they wanted, the schools what they wanted, whether that is being correctly done or not. That's one. Two is, it's very essential to empower the community. It is run as a community-based campaign, and if the community, and particularly if you are working with the in the hard-to-reach area, for instance, in our case, one area is in the tea garden, where the ethnic minorities mostly work. They hardly even think that what's the point of sending the kids to school, or why would they even school listen to us? So it's very important to engage them, that share that what rights they have and empower them, and only then and it works both ways. So once you have the evidence, that evidence helps them to get empowered about that they can have a voice. Also, when they are empowered, only then they can actually pursue more evidence. Like, okay, once I feel that I'm empowered, I know my rights, only then I can have my opinion, or school is not listening to me, or local government is not listening to me. So this evidence and empowerment, it works as a synergy. So and the third thing is we see that everything works in a partnership. All the stakeholders that we have, the political leadership, the bureaucratic leadership in that locality, the community leaderships, if we bring them together through the town hall meetings and in the follow-up process, that empowers each other as well, and they are also become very informed. So both the evidence and the empowerment works in synergy in all these three processes.
Great. Thank you so much, Syed, for such an interesting presentation. And I like so much the focusing on the impact and how can you use the evidence for really empowering. That's really unique. Now we would open the floor for 5 minutes to 10 minutes max Q&As. And then we would start with the roundtable discussion on teacher licensing. So any questions to Syed, either feel free to write in the chat or to raise hand so as you can speak in the microphone. any questions in the chat? Yeah, there is a request from Emmanuel Hawk, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you, Said Bhai, for the nice presentation. When listening to you, it seems that you are doing very good and strong advocacy to influence the policy and practice change discourse. Policy and practice change discourse. So when you talk about the changing at the village level, so those are part of generating evidence instead of changing the policy. So policies are adopted at the national level, but those are implemented at the subnational level. If you look at the policy in Bangladesh, we have very good policy across the departments. But when we would like to see how those are implementing, we find that those are not communicated at the subnational level or grassroots level. So that is the critical issue, how this project will enhance communicating the message from national level to subnational level, considering we have very centralized decision-making process. Decentralization is a big issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ram-bhai. Very quickly, so when we think about policy, we do not also look at the book that you have, that the education policy that's written. We realize that the public policy is, anything is a policy, right? Any decision is a policy. Even when government do not take a policy that decides that, no, I'm not going to have a policy, that's also a policy, right? That the government decided to have a policy, that not to have a policy. We have many issues like that. So in what happens here is at the school level, when the school take a decision that, okay, I am going to put the notice board, or I am going to start having a discussion with the parents before the budget, that is itself is a policy from that perspective. It's a micro level policy. Of course, as I said, changing that in the school level or the village level is easier. National level is hard. But yeah, we do also try to take it up with the national government, so that we work with the parliamentarians so that they can push forward. I would say it's of course an uphill battle, and but in many cases with partnerships with others, I would say sometimes we have managed to do things, particularly in partnership. Your previous workplace, Campi, we are part of a CSO alliance where many NGOs are working together. We have some, good positive impacts of the CSO alliance that we have seen, not part of the project, but in bigger partnerships. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Said, for your answer. I totally agree with you. Some policies are not really scripted and written, but they are practiced. Aaron, the next question from Aaron, please go ahead.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to meet with all of you in Dhaka. So my question for this program is did you guys have any check on the accessibility sectors for the PWD? And the digital literacy of the teachers in case of attending system, the digital inclusion that has been included by Bangladesh government, ICT division and A2I. And the third question is, did you guys have any opportunity to go to the Rohingya places, the refugee places, like in Dhaka city, there are several schools for refugees, like Bihari communities, okay? And we have a migration crisis happening in Chittagong, right? So is there any inclusion of these incentive topics in your research, or is there any future thinking about your research inclusion? I'm focusing on the accessibility sectors because according to British Council and according to our policy, every school should have the accessibility for the PWD. So what do you think, sir? Thank you for giving me the floor.
Thank you, Arun. As part of this particular project, we only work at the community level. We have a very specific area of work, in Gaibandha and in Sylhet. This particular project do not include the Rohingya community, but IID's Inclusion Center do work in those areas, and we work with the British Council as well. And so in one particular case, for instance, one of the assessment that we do this year, we are including the accessibility issue, particularly in the assessment, we are including that, so the assessing the students with disability as well. So that's, we are bringing that in as part of our the tool that we use. With the British Council, our project that we work with the disability, we work on the inclusion issues as well. We have a project particularly targeting the the Rohingya and the community again, but that's from a different project. This particular project do not. However, on this particular project, we are working with the HY to align our the initiatives with the Smart Bangladesh campaign, particularly where they are focusing on the smart citizen, smart society that comes in, and the national survey that we have done as a preparation for that smart survey. We have done the national survey that included the accessibility issue, whether the people have the access to the technology, what percentage of the parents had these access to these online schools and the gadgets and everything. So we did use that in our survey and shared it with the government and working with the government on the Smart Bangladesh issues.
Thank you very much, Sayed, for elaborate answers to the questions. I would like to ask you to share the link to your project as well as an email address, because after people would digest what you've said, they might have other emerging questions that they would be directing directly to you. And thank you so much, Sayed. And we would move now to the second part of our Knowledge Cafe, which is teacher licensing. The term teacher licensing were repeated over and over in many incidents, starting from the baseline study that was conducted for the phase 2, which is KIX 2.0, as well as in the uptake forums, in the discussions, and in other different aspects of the KIX activities. This is why we proposed is that we discuss this. What is the need for teacher licensing in South Asia sub-region, with contributions from Pakistan. We have 2 contributions from Pakistan, Dr. Sajid Adi and Ms. Zahida Batul, as well as a contribution from Bangladesh, Sumaira Ahsan, and a contribution from Maldives, Dr. Amina Shafia Adam. And I would like to ask all roundtable discussants is to start the conversation. We would start with knowing about what's taking place in Sindh, and then what's taking place in Punjab, and then what's taking place or the aspirations in Bangladesh and in Maldives as well. And if you can kindly also relate to the national priorities of the country, and how would this really help contribute to the achievement of national goals and strengthening of education system in the country. Thank you very much.
So should I?
Please.
Now the concern for teaching license, I always clarify that this is not an end in itself. It's a means to achieve something. Just as for driving license, just as for arms license, the mean is not the license itself. The end is not license itself. It's the end that is achieved through teaching license. So I think if you look at the eventual scenario, all of our efforts in education are eventually geared towards having better students' learning outcomes, better learning of his students, better upgrades of his students. And the research shows, both global and local, that the biggest contributor to students' achievement is teacher. The challenge that we find in developing countries is that the quality of teachers who get the quality of training of the teachers, the quality of the recruitment of teachers, the quality of the deployment of teachers is not very smooth, clear, standard based. So unlike, for example, in UK, if you want to teach in a school, even if you are doing a PhD, you have to have a certificate of teaching before being eligible to teach in a school. In many developing countries, especially in Pakistan, and especially in private sector, there is very small requirement or almost sometimes no requirement for the teachers for any professional degree qualification training to go into teaching. Even in public sector, we recently see that the teaching qualifications conditions have been either relaxed or removed in certain provinces. So within that larger scenario, we did some work in Pakistan. We developed a white paper on teaching license back in 2021, 22. The white paper argues for all of these things that teaching license is useful because it can help prepare teachers better by actually asking for higher standards. And if we implement teaching license in Pakistan, then we might be able to have better teachers and therefore better students. So that's the larger scenario. Following the white paper, we had because we are located in Sindh province, the Minister of Education in Sindh, he showed a lot of enthusiasm towards it. So my university, Akhan University, and I was leading it. We collaborated with an NGO called Durbeen. We also collaborated with STADA, Sindh Teacher Education Development Authority, and together we developed a policy that was somebody is speaking. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, so the minister formulated a group of committee, and we developed the teaching license policy in Sindh. I had the pleasure of presenting that policy to the cabinet in Sindh, and it was approved in 2023. Following that, we conducted the first ever teaching license test in Sindh as well as in Pakistan in January 2024. 4,000 applicants applied in the first round. 600 got successful licenses. We are trying to make this policy incentive based so that it's not considered as penalty for all the teachers that it is mandated initially. We want to have a gradual approach, and only yesterday we were discussing with the Minister and Secretary of Education how can we remove certain conditions that are there for introducing. And I think following Sindh's successful example, we aim to also collaborate with our partners in different other provinces. And I'm very happy that Madam Zaida is here. We had some conversations earlier. We also had conversations at the federal level. So we would like to move forward in this. The one thing that I always emphasize is which Saeed suggested as well, that we have to move in an evidence-based, because currently the argument is that if teachers have license, they are better teachers, they would be teaching better, and therefore students' learning outcomes will be improved. So we have to test this or check this hypothesis along the way, whether this is the situation or not. So we are here to do that. This is my contribution. If anyone has any other comments, contribution, I'm happy to respond. Thank you.
I would say let's have again a contribution from Pakistan and hear from Zahida Batul about what has been the steps taken so far for teacher licensing.
Thank you very much, Rasha. And thank you, Mr. Sajid, for explaining about the process of teacher licensing in Sindh. And yes, we had discussion and having some sort of coordination with Sindh because in Punjab we are working on this teacher licensing for many years, but we are still not successful. And now again we are trying to make it work. And for that, we are hopefully we are going to have some sort of coordination and collaboration with Mr. Sajid and Sindh government as well. So far as the brief history of teacher licensing in Punjab is like we started working on this teacher licensing many years back, and different sort of seminars, the workshops, they were held. Different committees were constituted, and then a draft was prepared, and then it was presented before the cabinet. But there was resistance from teacher unions. That was the reason that we could not make it a success, and then the process stopped. But again, the previous government and the current government, the emphasis is again on improving the teacher quality. As Sajid has mentioned that in private sector, there is no focus on having this teacher licensing or the professional qualification of the teachers. But in public sector, previously we were hiring teachers with having the degree in professional qualification like bachelor's in education. But in previous induction, we did not have that qualification or that criteria, like Sajid has already mentioned that some criterion was relaxed. So it was relaxed in our induction because and it was shared that if the teachers who do not have that professional qualification, they can join, they can be hired, but on the condition that they are supposed to complete that bachelor's in education, that is called the BEd, within the 3 years. So many of them completed that professional degree, but there are still many teachers who have not completed that. So ensuring that the teachers, the qualified teachers, are there in the classrooms is the main purpose. That's why we want to move towards teacher licensing, because we want to ensure that when the teacher enters in the classroom, he or she knows that how to deal with the students, how to ensure that the student learning outcomes are met, and how they have to create, conducive learning environment in the classrooms, and how they have to know about or learn about the latest pedagogical trends. So for that purpose, they need to keep them updated. And for that, we need to have this licensing regime in our province as well. So government is very seriously working on it, and we have started discussion at the school education department as well, at the KAED level, as I'm representing KAED Azam Academy for Educational Development. That is a teachers training institute at provincial level. So we have the mandate to provide professional development to the teachers. And we are providing these professional development opportunities to all the public sector school teachers. But just providing these professional development opportunities to teachers are not enough. They need to have certain sort of certifications or the licensing. That's why we have started working on certain short-term courses or certifications, and then we want to move further on this teacher licensing. And we want to learn from the experience of Sindh, as they have recently conducted the test. And we had that coordination meeting with the Durbin organization as well. And hopefully we are going to have a very, very good discussion on this. And the Minister of Education has already directed to make or constitute a committee, where the KAED would be the part of that committee. And we are going to work that if we are going to hire the new teachers in the department, they need to have that teacher license. And then actually the problem is for the existing teachers, they have some sort of, fear that if this licensing regime is being implemented, so they might have, some sort of fear to their jobs. But we are going to make some sort of such sort of the regime or the platform where we can ensure the teachers, the existing teachers, that there isn't any a threat to their jobs. But we are going to make mechanism in such a way that initially, as voluntary basis, they can take part in a test. Like Sajid has already mentioned, they have just taken that test from the teachers. So the new teachers who are being hired in the department, they will go through that process, and then the existing teachers, they can appear in that test, and we are going to work on certain sort of incentive as well, that if the teachers are appearing in such kind of test and they clear that test, so they are going to have certain sort of incentives as well, because we want to motivate the teachers to be a part of this teacher licensing and improve their skills in their teaching skills. And we want to ensure that they take the responsibility of their own professional development, and they are at par where the teachers that teaching techniques or the pedagogical skills at global level or at international level. So we want to keep our teachers at par at global or international level. For that purpose, teacher licensing is the need of the hour. And hopefully we are going to, have a certain success on this very soon. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Tahina. And I can see now an inter-country willingness to learn from others' experiences and exchange. I mean, experience with what Sindh has done so far. I like the perspective of teacher licensing as a tool for teachers to take on the responsibility of their own learning. So now it's not that we chase teachers all the time, ask them come for training. It's for them to realize the gaps and to be able to ask for professional development in the areas where they can prove they're competent enough. So I like this perspective a lot. I would now move to Maldives, and I would like to ask Dr. Amina Shafia Adam about the issue of teacher licensing. Is it of an interest to Maldives as well? Is there like any calls for teacher licensing so far, or what is the situation there in the country?
Thank you very much, Prof. Rasha, for giving me this opportunity to share our context. Actually, we are, I think it was last year, 2023, when our first draft of the policy related to teacher license was drafted. And then it was shared by institutions as well as with the teachers and schools for comments. And apparently end of the year 23, they were able to come up with the kind of a refined draft for teacher licensing. The meaning is that we haven't started teacher licensing yet. That is why I'm here. Actually, some of the things related to teacher license policy, we are still having some issues and clarity that we are wanting to add to it. And then for the time being, our teacher license policy has some issues, I would say. For example, one issue is our teacher education programs up until now, I think for the last couple of 15 years or maybe more, the teacher education programs were based on 3-year programs. And the teacher licenses, the policy is saying all teachers who are qualified for teacher license are going to be 4-year programs. So that was the first big issue. Teachers are very concerned about it because most probably 80% of teachers are having 3-year program in their qualification. So that means teacher full license will not be obtained because of their their completed programs. And that was a very big concern actually. And initially, I remember when we first started teacher education degrees, I was here at MNU. I was working at MNU when the program was introduced. It was a 4-year program, but for some reason during late 2000 or maybe after 2010, I remember reading in the newspaper when I was doing my PhD in New Zealand that teacher education program was minimized for 3-year program because the teacher shortage and other issues that they were having. Anyway, for some reason, the teacher education programs last couple of 10 years or last decade mostly was 3-year program graduates. It is a very big concern, and a lot of teachers who have graduated during this decade, I mean from 2010 to 23, and this time are all 3-year program teachers. And of course, this is an issue. And another thing is we are having a lot of issues related to teacher quality actually. And there were about 2-3 research already. The findings indicate teacher quality is a big issue in the country. One of the reason I know actually this could be a big issue even if I say in public. One of the big reason was a lot of private colleges for teacher education were introduced during that decade. And the 2 universities that were training teachers, they were very particular about the standard and the quality of teachers who are graduating. However, the teacher education institution, the private colleges, they started online teaching, they started blended mode, they started so of many different ways to graduate teachers, because it's kind of a business for the private colleges. And we started getting less freshers because of that reason. So meaning that what I mean by the subsidized 2 universities in the Maldives. So it means the highest population of teachers who have graduated during that decade from 2010 up to 2020 or 21 were, many of them are from private colleges instead of the 2 universities. And that has actually created a lot of issues in the school system because of the teacher quality, and the concerns were raised in newspapers. People were critiquing about the teacher level and the quality. And I think that is the reason why the teacher license policy was stated about the 4-year program of the teaching. And we are actually striving really to work on teacher quality through the teacher licensing, because some areas were commented in the teacher license policy to add kind of a portfolio to show the evidence and demonstrate the evidence of their quality of teaching. So one of the requirements for teacher license in the policy is to submit a teacher portfolio to indicate and demonstrate their level of teaching, and the qualities are maintained for 3 years or 4-year teacher portfolio. So that is kind of a kept idea. I mean, like for not all the teachers will get license, but based on the portfolio, they will receive the license. And then there will be, because I think at the initial stage, the policy says it is going to start with it was the old government. By the way, our new government has just started this year. And then there were a lot of conversations around how they are going to improve the policy. And one of the things were actually by 2029, we are going to make all teachers obtain their teacher license based on their teacher portfolio and based on the teacher qualification programs, and also the professional development programs that they are having. So a lot of evaluation will be carried out before the teachers were given teacher license. And we are actually I think the both universities are working really I mean raising concerns with the new government also not to start the teacher license until everything is clear, because we don't want all the teachers who are already practicing in the existing context to receive teacher license without having proper evaluation of their level of teaching and really showing the evidence that they are capable of managing classroom with the appropriate pedagogy and everything. So we are probably, the two universities are working very hard on that, because we know there are so many teachers out there who are not at the level of teaching. So that is the context in our country. I'm here actually to really learn about what I can learn from other countries, because we are in the process of introducing teacher license.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Shafia, for sharing this with us. And I'm happy to know that we're now tapping on an area of need, where really some cross-learning and exchange among countries would be helpful. We would fly now in a bumpy ride to Bangladesh and know more about teacher licensing in Bangladesh from Dr. Sameena Ahsan, and we congratulate her for being a full professor. Please.
Thank you very much and welcome to Bangladesh. A very good evening from Bangladesh. It's a nice evening here. Today, my name is Sumaira Ahsan. I'm working as a professor at the Institute of Education and Research, University of Dhaka. And I already told that I'm also working as the interim coordinator for the KIX EMAP hub for Bangladesh. So I will tell a little bit about Bangladesh. So in Bangladesh, we don't have this name like teacher licensing, but in Bangladesh, for both primary and secondary level teachers, there is competitive entry exams for them. And then they can be the teachers. For the primary, we have there is one, and for secondary we have, actually, if it's non-government schools, then we have NTRCA, called Non-Government Teacher Registration and Certification Authority. And they actually have the test. And for all of the cases, primary, secondary, government, non-government, they actually have to have a test, written and viva, and then they actually become the teacher. But the thing is that what we found is that even if it's not teacher licensing, they have a system. But what is problem here is that this system, we have to be very cautious. What Amina was talking about is very cautious about what we are testing there, because we found that our teacher testing is very general, and we actually need to know really about not only about what they know about teaching, but also the skills. I don't know about in Pakistan how they measure, or whether they measure the skill level also, whether they can manage a big class, or whether they can ask interesting questions or stuff. In a real classroom setting, things are very different actually. So how to actually do it in a low-cost setting? Low-cost setting is very important. So this is one thing I would talk about. Another thing is that we actually need to make it standardized and also go through the process that Sajid was talking about in Pakistan, like a real teacher licensing authority and program, because in Bangladesh, many things are happening for primary and secondary also, especially for secondary. We have a very new curriculum, I would say, because now there is a shift and change in paradigm. It's not just there is some content change or everything. We have a competency-based curriculum. Our assessment system is totally changed. And for this new type of curriculum, and I would say education system, we would actually need very newly skilled teachers. And how do we measure that? It can be something like teacher licensing, that whether we actually have that kind of teachers there. And but today I would also talk a little bit about the issues in the system in Bangladesh. And I don't know, maybe you can, other people, especially for developing countries, you can also connect with that. I really like what talked about is that it's just starting, because we know that there are issues which we tested, but we really need to connect all the parts within this, like the teacher professional development, training, teacher career path is very important to link with that. In Bangladesh, we actually don't have a teacher career path for them. And teacher motivation, mentoring, teacher empowerment, I would say, because most of the time we say that, okay, we have this recruitment test, you give this test, this way you can have increments, and stuff, but what actually they need, we need to know from them. And we have a lot of change in policies, and the teachers are actually sometimes tired, frustrated, and they actually need to be involved in the, I would say, especially in the research part, so that knowledge is not created by the officials or the university teachers only, but also within the system from the local level. So they actually own the knowledge, and then they can own the knowledge, and then the policy that is actually informed by that knowledge. And only then I believe that the teachers will be encouraged and empowered to implement those policies. And their teacher incentives are very important to link with this professional development and the teacher licensing program. In Bangladesh, what is problem in the system is that one thing is that teachers, the one who are the teachers in schools, most of them, they actually never wanted to be the teacher. So they are not motivated. They actually wanted to be some, for example, government officers, or for example, other professions they choose. But you know, it's very open. Someone from honors in management can apply here. So when they cannot think that, okay, I'm not getting any job, so they actually go there. So teacher career path in many countries, actually, after some years of education, they can decide whether they want to be a teacher or not. This is all very important, I think. So having a really good link with the education who wants to be teacher, and also the teacher career path. In Bangladesh, we don't yet have a clear teacher career path, so that they have a good career they can build in. And also the policy implementation, I would link with in Ambai, that we have many good policies, but when it's go down, the policies are not implemented, and there is no clear. Another thing is that the corruption and the vested interest group in the system. Even if we have all the pieces, and then when the corruption is there, because in Bangladesh recently we found that we have a very trusted authority for the very competitive examinations. They make very difficult decisions. It's very competitive, PSC, Public Service Commission. And we found that recently that there is question paper leakage from them. So, you know, like even if we have all these things, but still because of the corruption and leakage, problems in the system, or because of some vested interest group, the whole system may not work. So now I will conclude here, but I would say that one good thing is that Bangladesh is now having a master plan for developing all these things together: teacher professional development, policies, career path for teachers, linking their education, have building a very good profile, so that teachers have one teacher, he or she has a profile, and there are different ways he or she has resources where he or she can learn, and for learning he or she will get the incentive in different ways, and there is a path, career path and motivation for them. So I hope to see it, and maybe after some years someone will present that. Thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, Samera, and for like highlighting the teacher education system and teacher cadre in Bangladesh, and how it relates to the authentic learning and acquisition of competencies, relating it with the remunerations and a compensation scheme and incentives. And it's an important thing to consider. So on a very quick note, so yes, as my colleague Yasmina is writing on the chat, please feel free to ask any questions in the chat. And a quick round, what's next? Do you think, I mean, now we understand teacher licensing is important, teacher licensing is crucial, it's part of our national priorities. So what's next? How can we really take this into a step further now with our countries in the Samena, and what can GPA KIX EMAP help in this regard? We would go with the same,
okay.
Yeah, with the same order, please, Sajid Ali, please.
So I think the core concern remains having good quality teachers. And so all of us share that concern. We also share that one of the policy shifts in Pakistan and probably in other countries was that people started, especially policymakers, started giving more credit to the subject matter qualification. So if you are a BSc in physics, bachelor in physics, or bachelor or masters in chemistry, you would be better science teachers. So on that note, many provincial government in Pakistan made some policy changes. What we tend to emphasize is that we have to have some professional competencies. There are some professional competencies that are required alongside the subject matter knowledge. So I think in all of those cases, probably the case in Sindh is advanced because we have not only advocated for a policy shift, but that policy shift has happened. And the Minister of Education and the Secretary of Education are on one page. We had so we learned from our colleagues in Punjab because Teachers Union were very resistant in Punjab. So we went into dialogue with Teachers Union prior to actually launch of this policy, and that saved the day actually. And because they were concerned about the existing teacher force, they were also concerned about the incentives and very legitimate reasons as well. So we were lucky to engage with Teachers Union before launching the policy, and that saved the day. So we can offer some of the insights from Sindh that look, these are the things that we have done, and so far things seems to be working. So if, for example, my colleagues from other parts want to learn anything that we have done, we can do so. So for example, we are recently thinking, now that we have rolled out the policy, we are thinking of what to do with the old teachers who have, just as Amina was saying, previous qualification, because B.Ed in Pakistan used to be 1 year. Now it's 4 year. Those systems have stuck in the system. So should we have some kind of bridging program for that? So we are working on that. If that happens, and we can share some examples with you. We didn't go for portfolio because of the size of the teaching force. Ideally, just as in various US universities and teaching license authorities, there are portfolios where you assess teachers' work. We didn't go for that, for not anything against portfolio, but because of the sheer size of the teaching force. In Sindh, for example, we have 160,000 teachers existing. In the very first test, which were limited for 2-3 cadres, there were like 6,000 applicants. So we were concerned whether we would be able to manage such a huge volume with transparency, because what Sumaira raised, the corruption, the leakage in the system is also an issue. So we took the route of teaching license test instead of portfolio, but we ensured that the teaching license test would have table of specifications, which we determined, the teaching license committee. We ensured that the test would be conducted by a third party instead of the government. The teaching license committee ensured enough transparency that members of the teaching license committee would not be involved in the test taking, so that there are 2 layers of transparency. We also were very keen on looking at the outcome and results of the teaching license. The committee also set the benchmark, so we can share all those experiences of how did we actually achieve a relatively better teaching test. It has 40% content knowledge test and 60% pedagogical knowledge. So we went for an alternate to practicum. We tried to look at pedagogy through test, and we can share that experience, that how can it be done. And what we have realized that even the current teachers struggled in the pedagogy section. Some of them were achieved 100% in the content and could not do better in pedagogy. We also faced resistance and still facing resistance in terms of teachers complaining that, look, we perform so highly, give us an aggregate score. So what we suggested that the score would be, you have to pass both segments of the test. You have to perform 60% or 50% at least in the pedagogy, 50% in the content as well. So you have to perform better in both. So these are the nitty-gritties, details that we have done, and we can share all those experiences with the colleagues from different parts. We've also been able to have a very unique relationship between an NGO and academia. So I'm part of the university, Durbin is NGO, STEDA is government authority, Secretary Education, Minister Education. And I think it's a rare combination. I've written about it. And I think I forwarded that paper to Professor Rasha and others. You can simply Google it and you can learn more about it. And I'll share other resources that we have done. We can always share it. And we are happy
Yes,
to learn from other places.
If you can share any links, yes, please do that in the chat.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much.
And I would excuse because I would now be actually mobile. So I'll try and switch to my mobile phone.
Sure.
And we'll continue to be with you, but on the mobile. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much. And now going to Punjab, what's next?
Okay. Sajid has already explained so many things. So as Saeed in his presentation mentioned that having no policy is also a policy, you know. So we need to have a teacher licensing policy or framework, first of all. We need to define that or devise that because how we want to move about in this teacher licensing. And for that, as I have already mentioned that our Minister for Education is very much concerned. Our CM is also very much concerned about this teacher licensing. So School Education Department has started working on that. So we are going to work on that how we have to, you know, make it happen that teacher, whether we are going to have some sort of teacher licensing authority or regime, because initially, as I have mentioned, we worked a lot on that, but it was, you know, delayed and it could not get success. But now from the, you know, very beginning, this government has put emphasis on the importance of teacher licensing. So I hope that we are going to start our work and we are going to have some sort of framework that how we have to move about it. And as Sumaira has mentioned about Bangladesh situation, so we have this situation in our country as well, that most of the teachers are not the teachers by choice. So we say that they are teachers by chance because having, you know, government job is what is like by the people, you know, getting pension at the end of the service and all those other incentives. So this is the basic reason. So when there are teachers by choice, then they are concerned about their professional development. Then they want to improve themselves, and for that they'll definitely work for you know, having certain sort of licensing or certification because they want to be there. They want to you know, as it is said, survival of the fittest. Like in private sector, if someone is very, you know, is performing well, then they can ensure that they are part of that system. So we need to have this sort of mechanism in our public sectors as well. And teacher licensing can, you know, ensure that. But with the framework where we can ensure that the existing teachers, that they do not, their jobs do not have any sort of threat. But we need to make a mechanism where we can, you know, put some sort of or plan some sort of courses like certain credit hours for those teachers, the teachers who are already there in the system. So if we work on certain courses that if these teachers complete these sort of courses, these credit hours, so they can move that teacher licensing, or they can, or we can say that they have that basic knowledge of teacher licensing or basic, you know, criteria of teacher licensing. And then for the fresh teachers, we can, you know, have this initial sort of certification and licensing, as I have already mentioned. So we need to make some sort of policy or the framework in this regard. Thank you.
This is really great. Thank you so much. And that's being on the right track. That's really identifying the problems, being very realistic about highlighting the problems and the challenges and being up to it. Dr. Amina Chafia, please.
Oh, thank you very much, Prof. Rasha. Actually, what I see is the next step for us for the Maldivian context is really doing a baseline study. Understand what is there with our teachers, what do they think about teacher license, and what do they think that how should it go before it is to be really implemented. We all know that there are so many issues, and teachers are already having a lot of pressures regarding the teacher license, because they know one of these years, maybe one this year or next year, it's going to be introduced. So one thing that I could see is we can actually do a baseline study on how we can smoothly implement this policy with what we have already in the existing practice, because I think all of our educators in the universities, because both universities are really concerned about this, about the teacher level and teacher quality, and we really want to go with our philosophy of improving student learning through teacher quality. So we can't compromise teacher quality and with anything that is like to give license any teacher that is practicing now. So definitely it's not going to happen, because we will raise our voice. Even the government wanting, or the ministry wanting, to give license for all the teachers who are in the school, who are hired as teachers in the schools, because I think a lot of research, even some of my own findings in my research projects, they have already indicated that teacher quality is not up to the level. And teachers are not there because they want to be passionate teachers. Some are there for the salary, some are there for ease of the working context. There are so many issues related to the profession. So we need to have kind of a baseline study before it gets to formally introduced. So that is something that we would recommend to the Ministry of Education, to really do a national level research about how we are going to move on with the teacher license introduction. So I would actually really wanting to learn from KIX countries what standardized or measures that they are having in terms of indicators of teacher quality. What are the teacher quality indicators in different countries? So what Prof. Rasha can do for us, for all of us who are participating in consortium countries, is like having kind of a forum where we can really talk about indicators of teacher quality, and then we can come up with perhaps an instrument that we can measure the level of teacher quality. And that is the suggestion that I have for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Talking about the broader indicators of quality, and because teacher licensing is one of the instruments that would reinforce that. Dr. Sumaira Ahsan, what's next?
Thank you. So I would like to add one thing is that when we are talking about all these things, we need to make sure that we want to make sure that there are skilled teachers, but also so that it is not a burden on teacher. And also, it's not so rigid that they are afraid. It should be rigid but flexible. It's a balance, so that they are not afraid of that. If it's another thing that they fear of, then there will be another question paper leakage. They will try to do cheating and stuff. All these things are actually we create. So I want to make sure that it's a system that actually for helping them, not like policing something like that. So mentoring is a good tool for that, I think. So linking all these things with teacher professional development and mentoring is very important, so that they also feel empowered about this, and linking all this research in their school context. So every school, there can be like research center where the teachers actually can do research, and all the university teachers, government, policymakers, all can work in certain cluster for those within the teachers. I would suggest KIX, especially for Bangladesh, is that there is a master plan going on in Bangladesh. I don't know, because you know that KIX also works with the government. Maybe you can also have Bangladesh also what is going on, and how like there can be other people also, so that there can be good suggestions and stuff. So that also there is a baseline that is very important. In many cases, we actually cannot compare. We say it's good or bad, but we don't know because we have not collected data before the intervention. So having one data before intervention, so that after the intervention we can compare and see, is very precise. Thank you.
I totally agree. A baseline study for having the data about the current status is extremely important. Before we close, there are like some questions given on the chat, and Sajid kindly has responded to some of them. We have a question from Aisha Said. Please, Aisha, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm sorry, but before I become convinced that teacher licensing is the way to go forward, especially in the context of Pakistan, considering the scale of the system, I would like to know if any existing studies or baseline studies have been conducted for evaluating the overall quality of the education system, because teacher quality is just one part of that system, and that is something which I would like to look at. For instance, the sample size of the pilot project, let's say of the licensing, is 4,000, and out of that 600 teachers have been able to be successful. So what about those who have not been successful? And forgive me, but being a student of sociology, whenever I hear licensing and standards, it brings governance and finances to my mind. So who's going to benefit from these licenses? I need to know who's going to pay for them. How are the teachers? Because Pakistan education landscape is not a homogeneous entity. It has so much diversity. There is even the public-private divide is now becoming almost 50-50. And the private schools do have a system or a mechanism of professional development for their teachers. It could be varied, but there is still that in place. Also, we have a very huge portion or proportion of a non-formal education sector. So how is this going to be catering to everybody? So my suggestions would be that before we go ahead with this teacher licensing, if we go ahead with it, we need to have some thorough studies, not only on teaching system, but on the whole overall educational landscape. And for that, we could have a multiple levels of this teacher licensing. For instance, one size fits all policy is never something that I believe in. It cannot be applied. There are teachers who are, let's say, working in a single teacher school. We have that model, which is very successful in remote areas in Pakistan. And then there are the private different tiers of schools, and then there are the public schools. So would we have the same teaching license for everything? And also, okay, content knowledge will be there, and also pedagogical knowledge. But what about the philosophies? So will we have some portion on what is the philosophy of education for the teacher, and what is the philosophy of teaching and mentorship for that teacher? The question of who should be a teacher or not. So this is something I would like to know as well. And thinking of the future of teacher licensing is also important. Maybe in the future, it's already being implemented in some parts of the world. We would be having generative AI and more of it. So what will be the future of our teacher licensing in that sense? So these are some of the observations and concerns that I have as an educator. And if there is something that can be done, I would like to help even. I've done MPhil in education policy and development. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aisha. They are all valid concerns, and yes, and this is the role of research and of applied research, is really to research more the context, to find really valid solutions, to crystallize policies, so as people can really find the guidance into the policies and can really have a collaborative efforts towards the same objective. it seems that this issue is really of an interest in the region. And this is why I would invite for a blog post that would keep the discussion ongoing. And already I've drafted like a template or an outline for a blog post where contributors from the region can contribute to. We would publish the blog post, so please, I would ask you to register for our newsletter and go to the website, know the blog post area, and then like us on Facebook. Very important. We have the streamings and everything on Facebook, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on X, which used to be Twitter. So it's a bit of marketing now. It's like us on Facebook and things like that. And then when the blog post on teacher licensing is on, I would really send you all emails so as you can log in and contribute and respond to the blog post, where we keep this discussion ongoing. We benefit from different viewpoints that has been given today from the floor and from our valued speakers. And before I close, I would like to thank all participants for joining in today, for the contributions in the chat and on the microphones, for the important presentation given by Saeed Ahmed that would really relate to the importance of applied research into our educational context, and for the very rich discussion from our contributors from Maldives, Pakistan, Bangladesh on the teacher licensing topic. And we're meeting next time it's because it's bi-monthly. We're meeting next time in September. It's going to be the second Thursday in September, and see you then, and take care, and thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Rasha. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.